It can be a dark world sometimes. Don't be afraid to be a source of light. It can be a dark world sometimes. But don't be afraid to be a source of light.
Peace, good people. You listen to Soul Affirmations with Felicia and Karega.
Peace, peace. And I thought it was Soul Affirmations with Karega and Felicia.
I knew you'd say that.
Because you be doing that.
Well, welcome in either fold.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're back.
We are back.
Again.
We are in stride.
Yeah.
We are affirming. We are being. We are learning the power of connectedness through telling of our story. We are learning the power of community that it creates a belongingness that I'm glad we get to create with folks over the airwaves or however they receive story.
Yeah.
Right. So
I feel good to be back. Thank you, Rhea, for bringing me forward. This is a unique experience. But I believe in the power of storytelling now. I believe in the power of reference. I understand the power of connectedness and belongingness. So I also am just grateful to be able to do this with you. So we are here again, and this episode is an episode that kind of goes back. I know we went back in time. The last episode we talked about how we met, what our experiences have been like in the last 17 years.
My God.
Woo. And this one is a little bit more centered.
Yeah.
Centered on our experience of neonatal loss. And more central to maybe how you found us on Black Love.
Yeah.
Before we even dive into it, I want to open us up with an affirmation. I think that sometimes these conversations, I don't know about you, Riga, I won't speak for you, but for me can be, I don't know how to define it, but it requires me to sit, be still, and be present.
Okay.
So
I get that.
Yeah. I'm going to read one of the affirmations that you wrote that I think is fitting in this moment for me.
Okay.
And that is, today I will be patient with myself. The goal is to be present, not perfect.
Wow. Today I'll be patient with myself. The goal is to be present, not perfect.
Deep breath.
Yeah. Hopefully you got a deep breath in with that. I like what that speaks to for the journey, but also like what that speaks to me right now. So right now I am inviting myself to be present and more present than perfect, under the premise that if I am present, what is true, the nuances of how I'm navigating this space right now will be exactly what someone needs as reference as they are navigating. But if I try to perfect the story, I might lose the detail and the color that make it real to someone who's looking for reference.
Man, thank you for saying that. That's
sometimes
so
they're not looking for the rainbow of hope. They're not looking for the perfect arc of the story. They're looking to see who knows what it feels like to be in that space. And that's a very imperfect feeling. But my presence will let me access that. So that affirmation invites me to be present in this particular episode. To really just let it reign true. Right. I don't have to perfect the story. It is.
Thank you, babe. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was a deep breath right there.
I celebrate and I acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I think about, it does take some working to go back to the space.
Yeah.
because what's happening today differently than has happened previously is, I can't speak for you, but I can speak from what I remember. I'll begin here. Today you're willing. That wasn't always the case.
No.
So I'd rather us start at the point where we weren't willing. You weren't willing to tell the story the way we do today. Tell me about how you got to even coming to this story. What makes you share the story?
Well, I think that it is important to note, even before I got to this point of storytelling and being able to tell the story, what 2019 looked like for us. Right? That was the year our daughter was born, Kamaiu.
Kamaiu SOL.
Yeah. And at the beginning of this year, of 2019, on January 26th, I came downstairs, woke up that morning. Sun was shining.
Sure was.
I don't remember the temperature, but it was warm enough for Karega to ask me to go for sprints. And I had been holding information that I was pregnant for about a week and a half. And being asked to go do some sprints with him, run some sprints with him on the day of his birthday it couldn't happen, right? This is a non-negotiable here. So I said, all right.
It's a hard no.
It was a hard no. So I had to figure out, all right, well, I guess this is the moment. I'm going to tell him now on his birthday, not early, it wasn't early, but in the morning. And I actually got Karega 2 jackets for his birthday. A friend of ours, he is a designer out here in Oakland, and he customized some jackets for Karega for his birthday, and I got a birthday button made for him.
Oh, Medal Future.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got a birthday button made for Karega that said "Baby Daddy." And I put the button on Karega's new jacket. Okay. Now I thought, this is brilliant. I thought this is a wonderful idea. He's going to see it. He's going to laugh. He's going to know exactly what I'm telling him.
And I know they can see my face right now. I know they can see my face because the way you're telling the story, that it's so sequential, it makes so much sense. And you knew that I would get it.
It makes so much sense to me.
It was practically the opposite experience what we actually had. So context, y'all. Even before we go any further, Felicia just said we've been together 17 years. So at that point, it's about 15 years. And I know her handwriting. I know what she calls me. I know everything about her. She's never called me baby daddy. And the handwriting that the pen was made, the first thing I thought was, did you recycle a gift bag? Right? Because this isn't your handwriting and I don't even know what you're talking about. So that's actually where it starts. Me not having the slightest of clue what she's trying to tell me.
I want to shout out my friend Craig, who made this button for me. Okay. Gregory, Craigmeister, Craigology, all the names that I call him. Shout out to you for making this birthday button for me on such short notice. He did it beautifully. It had glitter. It had everything on it. It was big. It was legible. You can read. It was perfect.
It wasn't a small button.
It was not a small button at all. But Karega opens the gift and he's like, "Oh, birthday button." And I'm like, "Birthday button? No, read the button. Baby daddy." Who's it?
I'm trying. At this point, I am more interested in this fire jacket she just got me. She got me a customized jacket from Medal Future, and his work is beautiful and black and brilliant. And that's what I was interested in. This brand new jacket I just got, and that button didn't make any sense.
Man. And so Karega was like, "Is this a joke?" And what does this mean? And I'm like, "What you think it mean?" And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he kind of like puts it down, and that was like the end of it. And I'm like, hey. So I'm recording him on my phone. Okay. Like you're trying to capture the moment, and the moment is not spectacular at all.
Working. It is not working.
It is whack. And so I stopped recording. I'm like, I can't even show anybody this. Like, I can't post this.
I gotta see this.
I can't post it. It is. It's one of those memories in your phone that you don't revisit often.
I low-key ruined it.
Yeah.
But when the gravity of the moment hit me, I was most elated.
Yeah. Karega and I actually had to, after I stopped recording, Karega and I actually had to go outside because I was like, dang, he's not even excited. What's up with that? And we sitting outside on the bench having our little moment, and he explains to me like how he misunderstood. So at that point, I was like, okay, I had to accept his cognitive processing of how he got here. Uh-huh. And we come back in the house and he is elated.
That's side note. 2 things I wanted to mention here. This is going to be a really great episode because I love where we are. That's one of the benefits I get from being married to an educational psychologist, right? Dr. Felicia Bailey. We do actually take time to understand how each other feel. And if we can explain the pathway of how we feel and what our thinking was, then you can't judge the thinking, right? You just have to sit with it until you understand it better. So that's 1. 2, something else you should know about me is if you send me a present, anything, I make time emotionally to open it. Felicia opens anything right away. Every package, mine or her, it doesn't have to have her name on it.
No, she's trying to open his mail today.
She likes to open everything.
Yeah.
So the difference in our, like the way we present or the way we experience, I need time to process how I feel about what is happening. I also know that about myself differently and better now than I did then. So we reconvene outside and it is beautiful. And it's the magic and it's everything that we dreamed of. I dreamed of. Felicia and I had, at this point, context, right? We've been together since we were 16 and 17. So this is multiple cities, multiple degrees, right?
Yeah.
Challenges, growth, overcoming, careers. Mm-hmm. And now we are approaching parenthood in 2019.
Man, how elated we were. I actually remember being in the kitchen and I finally, like, to see the joy that Karega had, I finally was able to shed tears of joy myself. And it was like I had been holding it, waiting to tell him, waiting for this life that was coming to be celebrated. But also, if I can be honest, a little bit in fear that it could go either way, right? Because I had friends recently at that time who had just experienced miscarriages. So I was hypersensitive to any change, right? And I mean, I'm observing everything in my body. So to see Karega with that joy, I felt like, oh, okay, this child that's coming can be celebrated. I remember that feeling. I remember that moment. I remember Brittany coming downstairs like, what is going on? Because it was so loud. Mm-hmm. That was a beautiful day.
It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
That day, particularly, namely.
Yeah.
And then what was going to be happening in the rest of 2019, right? The very next month, we were releasing our debut album with Soul Development, right?
Yeah.
The Soul of Black Folk.
That's right.
So we had performances and media engagements, and it's so exciting because we know we're pregnant, and I'm looking at all these moments that we're living together as a family in the Black experience.
Yeah.
Very, very key and centered on Black love.
Yeah.
Right? Even then, the way that love manifested for a community.
Yeah.
So this year is happening in beautiful ways.
I like that you also noted the dropping of the album and the traveling that we had been doing. I think I remember performing at Apple in San Francisco, and I remember going to New York, and we went to Brooklyn for Hybrid.
Yep, and we did the griot.
We did the griot. That's right. Oh man, we had an amazing experience. And I remember this trip to New York very particularly because we were in a taxi on our way to the griot, actually. And I had this idea to ask Lauren, if she would pen a song for my gender reveal. And she, of course, you know, Lauren is a member in Soul Development with us. And she's also a very close friend of ours, a sister to us. We went to Hampton together. Lauren and I majored in music together. We go way many years back. But
opened the school together.
Yeah, opened the school together. Right. We're in Oakland together. I mean, we've done a whole lot together. I know Lauren's writing capabilities. Lauren is a phenomenal writer. Her and Karega wrote Helicopters, which is on the Soul of Black Folk. So if you have a moment, you should find it. And I mean, several other songs on the album. But aside from that, I knew Lauren's capabilities. Okay. And so I asked her if she could pen a gender reveal song. And she told me, V, this is going to be the hardest song I've ever wrote, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. She was up to the challenge. And I learned that she wrote several versions of it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't know what the gender was. So she wrote a version for a boy. She wrote a version for a girl. And she wrote like more of a mellow version and then more of like a major upbeat version. And I guess she was asking another member of our group, Brittany Tanner, which one she should go with. And Brittany was like, nah, you got to go with the crier, like the one that makes you cry. And so she was like, are you sure? You know, and Lauren is so phenomenal. I wish I had more words to describe the gratitude that I hold for her in writing this song for me. And she did it. You look like you want to say something.
Well, I'm just realizing that like it was songwriting then, but it is story writing now.
Yeah.
If she didn't pen that, we wouldn't have reference. The world would not be able to connect to Baby Bailey Girl the way they did. They wouldn't understand.
Yeah. Even like, so the day of the party, this is like May, is when when you, or I guess us, made our social media announcement that we were expecting. And it was like right before we went into the party, right? Now, this whole time, y'all, I've been thinking I was having a boy. I'm telling you, I knew I was having a boy. I had prepped myself for it. You know, all the old wives' tales that they tell you about why you would be having a boy. I wasn't sick. So they're like, oh yeah, you're not sick. You definitely having a boy. And some other things, but everybody had projected it on me. And I was just like, yeah. I'm having a boy. Now, I will give Karega his credit. He always said it was a girl.
Hey.
He did.
Hey.
But we go to our party and Lauren performs the song. And she told me that the song would either be in the key of B or in the key of G. And that she would be testing me to know which one it was. And when the song started, I don't have perfect pitch. But when the song started, I was like, man, this feels a little G-ish. Like,
this feels a little like the key of G.
And such a beautiful song. And you can find the song on our YouTube, as a matter of fact, the full version of it. But so she sings and she pens what has now become, I guess, her nickname.
Beautiful Bailey girl.
You're having a baby Bailey girl.
Yep, that's how the song goes.
That is how the chorus goes. And that's how we found out. And you can find this video of Karega in just pure joy and excitement and me with a smile on my face that's there. But if you check my eyebrows, you might see that I was just a little disappointed that I'm having a girl. And
I had the biggest joy, the deepest joy. I mean, real life, like my fists were in the air.
Yeah,
right?
they were. He was so excited.
And the song was beautiful. The moment was beautiful. My wife before me carrying our child, and the way I saw my responsibility to being able to raise a Black girl in this world, right? The way the world was shaping and changing. I knew that was my marching orders, and I was excited about it, thinking about who she could become.
Yeah.
Something that also happened in this same year, y'all. This is just like a unbelievably packed year. of growth and revelation and loss and becoming. Soul Affirmations was actually
That's right.
released that year.
It was.
The book, we were writing it while we were
pregnant.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes to fruition, right, shortly before Kamaiu gets here.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these things are happening in the same year. And now, mind y'all, this is a 41-week pregnancy of big joy. Purest joy. I mean, nutrition is balanced, wellness,
exercise,
love, faith, like all these things are happening. It's an incredible year.
Yeah.
There's so much to share. You can find it for yourself for what that year felt like and looked like. And September.
Man.
Is there anything else you want to share about that year before that wonderful, distinctive day?
Man, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of Soul Affirmations because, you know, it was written in this year, and then also it was recorded in this year.
That's right. It was recorded.
Yeah. We had an opportunity to record while I was pregnant with Kamaiu, the affirmations for an audio experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really special to be able to have 1, the song, right? 2, the book. 3, now we have this audio version of the affirmations where you can hold, feel, sense the spirit of Kamaiu, right? She was very much present in the year.
Very much. And so present. I just feel so good. What happens is we're reading for the book, the audio version, and our engineer and producer of the project, Damani Rhodes, is in there, and he's listening to everybody read. Okay. Felicia comes in and reads, and he's like, oh, that's it. Like, we don't need anything else. This voice is the one. And we realize now that, like, yes, Felicia has an amazing voice, but there was something so powerful about that read as it was her and Kamaiu reading those words. So that's how we get to that experience. And
I received that. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. And she still blessed your vocal cords. You're still nice with it. Okay. I like it.
Thank you. I mean, all of these wonderful things that were happening in the year 2019. I could go on in reflection just about the massive amount of joy that Karega and I had, and what was even, I think, an increase in our love for one another and our understanding for one another. I even recall, like, as we were getting things ready and in shape for Kamaiu to come, there were some uncertainties that we had, right? About, okay, where are we gonna grow our family? Where are we gonna expand our home? And I think that this may happen across many families. When you are expecting a new member of your family, you're trying to, like, make room for them. And you have your idea of what that may look like, your expectations of how you thought it would be. And I remember that feeling of, like, wow, things are really, really coming together. And it felt really good. Babies bring blessings. I've learned that across my friends. Babies really bring blessings. And Kamaiu brought an abundance of blessings. And as we prepared for her arrival, I remember that feeling of, okay, this is happening. And I went into labor. What was that, on the 28th?
Mm-hmm.
Not an active labor. we did some walking. I went to the farmer's market, you know. And we were excited, like, oh, okay, this is it. You know, I had been waiting for these moments.
Yeah.
I had been telling myself I was prepared for these moments, like how this could go. You know, you try to actually mentally prepare yourself for what you're about to experience, and prepare your body as well. I had worked out the entire time in preparation. Like, I convinced myself, like, if I do these things, this is going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm not going to be here all day with you. You're going to pop out, and that's how it's going to go. Unlike that experience at all.
Very much.
I went into active labor on the 29th of September. And I had the support of my family with me. Mm-hmm. We had our mothers. Mm-hmm. I had a doula. Mm-hmm. I had a birth team. And we labored. And we labored. And we labored.
Truly.
And I want to make sure, like, as I am processing, that I am true to the story and remembering. It can be, as time has passed since then, and how I felt at the time may not reflect how I feel now. But I want to be honest and true for the concern of reference for someone who may be experiencing something like this or have had the experience. Yeah, I remember being in labor, and I remember everything going according to plan, according to our plans, mm-hmm. according to what I thought I could control and hold. And Kamaiu's heart rate dropped. Mm-hmm. Unsure why. Unclear as to the cause. We were rushed for an emergency cesarean. Now, at this point, this was not part of our birth plan. This was not the plan for me. Karega and I never discussed it.
It just wasn't in the plan. Mm-hmm. It wasn't what we discussed. We had no reason in all of our checkups and all of our ultrasounds. There was nothing indicating that we would have to have a cesarean, much less an emergency cesarean. There was just nothing that planned for that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I remember is our family being present and Felicia being rolled into the operating room. And we had been, I know her well. I know her deeply. So there was this eye contact that we expect to have with one another. And we had that eye contact. And what she read on my face was my discomfort in this not being part of the plan. Mm-hmm. I wasn't worried about her or baby's health. It was just the idea that we never discussed being separated from each other. Mm-mm. And we had to be separated in that moment.
Yeah.
And that caused great discomfort for me.
Mm-hmm. And so, they quickly rolled me into the operating room. And I remember what that looked like. I remember my mom. I remember seeing your mother. The look on their faces of uncertainty. I remember feeling very sure. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching you and being separated. So here I am now. I'm rolled into the room. And I'm listening to every single person that's talking to me about what's going to happen. They were all so fast and efficient and clear. I have so much gratitude for how clear that they were. I understood everything that was getting ready to happen. And I said my last prayer. And I have to say that I was in there alone with the team, and I said my last prayer. And much like a movie, as best as I can paint the picture for you, I remember seeing the anesthesia come over my face. And that was it. I remember that. I remember that. Mm. And I have bits and pieces of memories waking up. I remember being rolled into the room, waking up just a little bit briefly. I looked over and I saw Brittany. And I remember seeing tears in her eyes. And I couldn't understand why she was crying. I said, something's wrong. And then I don't have a memory after that. And then I have a brief memory of our doctor who kneeled down and told me how well I was doing, but that Kamaiu didn't make it. She didn't say Kamaiu because nobody knew her name yet, but she said our baby didn't make it. And so she asked me, did I understand what she was saying? And I said, yeah. I nodded my head, but I turned to Karega and I asked him, I said, she's not breathing.
And I had to. So this is about, I don't know, maybe like 19 minutes in between. I don't know. I can't remember, but there was a window of time where I found out, and then I got to see Felicia. And I looked myself in the mirror, just trying to figure out, like, where from here? What is my role? What am I called to do? What words? None are sufficient, but what words do I use to tell my wife what just transpired? And there were no words descriptive enough. I know how sharp Felicia is, but because of the impact of the anesthesia, cognitively, you're not in the same mental state. On top of this new reality, this new life of something it was not ever planned, thought of, or experienced. Had no reference of it. Had no reference at that time of anybody. I knew having this full-term loss, the pregnancy was so much joy and we were so healthy. There wasn't a complication in the entire pregnancy. So trying to get to this place where we're about to express that things aren't going anywhere as planned. And then having to explain to her again, because now as she is coming present with herself and her body, she has more questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the anesthesia really impacts your memory. I don't have a memory of Karega telling me for the first time, which is what happened. I don't have that memory. I have pictures in my phone where I don't remember those parts. I'm grateful for the documentation, but it pained me when I went through my phone to see it and not being able to have the memory.
Mm.
And man, that day felt like, I can't even explain the depth of that day. I had no account of a sunrise or a sunset. When I woke up, I remember seeing family show up, friends that I knew they weren't here the night before. My family showed up, my friends showed up. I remember asking the whole Kamaiu, and I remember actually saying to Karega, did you tell them her name? Because we had held her name. We had held her name, y'all, and decided that she would be the first to hear it. Her name is Kamaiu SOL Bailey, and it means silent warrior, one who loves relentlessly. Tribe of Bailey. Source of light, tribe of Bailey. And a very special name indeed. We didn't really talk about how we got the name, but I want to just briefly share. We were trying to figure it out. While I was carrying, I kept feeling the spirit of this baby. And largely the way that the baby felt, the way she felt, had me thinking that she was a boy. I was mistaking her energy as something that was masculine. And she taught me something. She taught me something right then and there. And before even knowing if we were having a boy or a girl, I knew that this baby felt like very much to me like Karega. Now, Karega's name, and you can tell them what your name means, but it's Kenyan.
Chosen for truth.
And also rebel warrior. And I was telling Rega, I'm like, yo, this baby feels like you. This baby has your spirit, but it's not for lack of better word, it's not loud. It's not banging. It's not aggressive. It's very observant, very silent, very quiet like. And I was telling Karega I was looking for a name, and I came upon the name Kamaiu, and I was like, Karega, I found a name, but it just doesn't, the sound of how you say it doesn't fit how I'm feeling. And so I said, Karega, he was like, well, what's the name? So I said it. He's like, well, how is it spelled? So I spelled it for him. He said, I thought it was Kamaiu. And when he said Kamaiu, I cried.
Literally.
And I was like, that's the name. That is the name. And so this is how we got Kamaiu. And we put a modification on the spelling to fit her on how we thought, you know, this is who she is. But silent warrior, one who loves relentlessly, our source of light, part of our tribe. And so I asked Karega, did he tell them her name? And we shared her name. Family had been waiting. I don't even think I remember much even after that moment. It's bits and pieces.
So fragmented.
Yeah.
It's so fragmented. I think even in that story of her carrying her birth, like that one day felt like a lifetime. And it began our lifetime differently forever from that day.
Yeah.
It's like I walked in one version of myself and left a being that I would have to come to know. Like that was a trip. Imagine leaving and having to get to know yourself differently for different reasons than you expected. You know, what you expect is that I'm going to figure out how to carry this car seat and the groceries and all these other things. And we left with a box of belongings and this new presentation of what our reality was going to be. And it took so much working to learn how to sit with who we were becoming. It took us deep reminders, and many of them, to affirm that we were still parents, to learn that we were still her parents. This wasn't an immediate revelation. This felt like days at sea until you learn that we are her parents infinitely. And in these inner workings, and in this, what I would call, nothing felt together. It just felt like all these separate fragment pieces. Felicia and I, love was intact, but everything felt separate. Everything felt foreign. What is food? What is water? What is care? Right? Like, what are these things? Everything feels separate of me. I want only one thing. And I can't even access the only thing that what I was supposed to be doing right now. So everything felt separate.
Yeah. I remember this is all just the same day. Family, like I said, showed up. Close friends showed up. And I remember the hospital having the wisdom to put me in a room that was at the end of the hall. And this is so significant. They didn't separate me because of my circumstance, but because of my circumstance, right? I was given room to do whatever it was that I needed. I did not have to adhere to any type of visitor restrictions. I didn't have to adhere to any noise levels. I could be exactly who I was in those moments, and my family could be present with me and hold me. And I found that to be so very special. And in this particular day, the very first day, it was so special. And I tell you this because the family that showed up, they had an opportunity to see Kamaiu, to hold Kamaiu, and to allow Kamaiu into their world. And that was so very important for me. I didn't know it then, but it was very important for me as I continued my journey in understanding who I was and defining my motherhood. She was not absent from my loved ones. They had an opportunity to see and hold and invite her in. And how special that was for me later when I understood that she was a part of this family. So
wow.
And that was that first day.
Just the day.
That was that first day. I remember everyone leaving. Karega and I stayed, and we held each other. Karega and I have a history of sharing a hospital bed. We shared that bed.
Man, it was.
Can you imagine it?
No, God. No, I cannot. Don't put me.
We did though.
The laughter that you hear now is also evidence of this unique laughter that was also present that day. That was the beginning of my work to understand how complex grief is and how many things can be coexisting at once while grief is happening.
Man.
Because when I understood that grief isn't only sadness, right? But it is our hopes, our dreams, our expectations. It is grief is love. It's the love that comes after a loss, but you don't lose the love.
Man.
And this past year has been dedicated to nothing more than finding where the love is and all the nuances of everything else.
Yeah.
That's all we could focus on. There was no one in this world, no mama, no daddy. No one could save us. No one could change it. No one could make it stop. No one. Love was the only thing that could hold us while experiencing a loss that loses all reference. There's not much to go to. So that is why our emphasis on love is the way it is. It's not just rhetoric. It was the only thing that could hold us in those moments. And I have since dedicated my life to making room and helping to create the conditions so we can all alleviate our suffering and love more abundantly, so that we don't invisibilize our grieving members of our community. Grieving people aren't sick people.
Nope.
There's not actually something wrong with them. Grief isn't, we dislike it as unfavorable, but there isn't something inherently wrong with it. It is present. It
is ever.
It's ever. So.
No, and I appreciate how how I'm trying to make sure I'm giving a chronological recollection of this, that you're able to pull in those parts of the processing that later come. I start to think about, now after I've had the baby, my body is still responding as if I had a baby. And so the nuances of that, that I had to hold in trying to understand who I am, what this is now going to be, just because I remember it's like, okay, I had Kamaiu, but she's not here. Oh, I'm still having to lactate, right? Oh, my body still has to heal the exact same way. And it was all of these reminders that she wasn't physically with me. And that was a part of my grieving, right? That's what shows up in the grieving process for me. I have to interface with these reminders and wrestle with, am I still a mother or not, even though I'm not holding her? But I don't want to go too fast and not acknowledge some of the scenarios, some of the things that happened that helped me understand more about who I was.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, everyone that was there that first day had an opportunity to allow Kamaiu into their world, see her, feel her, touch her, smell her, know her. And then the next day, we had an opportunity. Was it the next day or the day after? I feel like maybe it was day 3.
It was the third day.
An attendant, the director, actually, from the morgue, comes upstairs and she asked me to sign a paper to allow Kamaiu to go to the funeral home. Now, I'm thinking that I had already done this, but I found out that I didn't. And so she said, yeah, I just want, she comes up, she bears her condolences for us. And then she asked me, well, would you like to see her? And so I'm like, yeah, I want to see her. So Karega rolls me down and we get to have more moments of bonding with our child, to see her face, to touch her, to know how she feels in our arms, to even clean her up, right? Like to just the intimate time that you spend with your baby on those first couple of days. And it was so special that she allowed us to do this even just by ourselves. There was no time restriction, as long as we wanted to. I signed the papers. She gives us a call later that night. She says the funeral home's not coming until another day. Would you like to come back? Y'all. And it was now at this moment, absolutely, I'm coming back. But oh my goodness, Karega, we can take pictures, family photos.
Wow.
All because of this woman.
All because this woman. And here's how I wanted to speak to the power of making room. It doesn't matter who you are, your title's about making room for the grieving members of your community. We all can do something. We all can make room. We all can make love present. You don't have to be the director, have this understanding. Y'all, this is a Black woman from East Oakland who's experienced a number of losses in her personal life. I remember talking to her and learning more about her and just what was happening in her personal life. And she was so deeply moved at the type of love Felicia and I displayed for one another and displayed for our daughter. And she talked about never seeing anything like this. So there was like a ministry of love even happening in that moment because I knew who I was dealing with. She wasn't the head of the hospital, right? If you know anything about hospital and hierarchies, right? Especially the morgue is in the basement, right? And here she comes up to come see us and to come serve and make room for us. And this is how we got to begin telling that story.
Yeah.
Right? Adrian.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah.
In another conversation, I'll talk to you about some of the creatives that helped us tell our story and some of the conversations that I had years later with them about not even really understanding what their undertaking was. It's a photographer who does not specialize in photography, with that highlights neonatal loss. He's never taken a picture of a baby who is not present spiritually in that way. He's never done that. And I called up a friend, not even realizing what I really was asking. But he did it so beautifully and surrendered the best of himself to this project. And this is how the world got to hear and see some of our story. This is how Kamaiu wasn't invisibilized.
Yes.
She wasn't disappeared or dismembered. Right? She didn't stay away in the refrigerator away from us. She spent time with us. We came back. Felicia took a picture of us down there, Kamaiu and I, on day 1. And that picture inspired us to call our friend because I wanted Felicia to have a picture like the one she took of me. And
when Kalu came and braided my hair.
Her friend, came, and it was just all this gentleness. And we'll get into some more of that as well. The thing is, this story, it doesn't stop because it actually is the story we're living. Right? It's hard to sequence it because I'm telling you about something that I'm currently in, just not at this current moment. This isn't a historic reference. This is still very much present to how we show up in the world today. Still trying to learn what it means to be angel parents. Still learning what it means that we are her parents infinitely. Still understanding what the body goes through. Right? And how the body holds these memories. I remember Felicia's lactating. I remember the pumping of the milk. I remember Felicia having this, can't explain it, but it was her choice and her practice, if I may, to donate her breast milk.
Mm-hmm.
So here she was pumping regularly for a child that is no longer in our arms, to provide nutrients and supplemental nutrients to families who are in need and babies who are here. It was one of the most complex giving and becoming I've ever seen. I remember that.
And I don't think I ever took the time to understand my processing of why, but I felt this strong need to do it. I felt like I was doing it for Kamaiu, if I could be honest. It felt like this is what she would want. But not in this kind of overcomer narrative. It was, no, literally, like there are families out there who are experiencing different types of grief, right? Where things are not going as expected, and their child has needs, and I have something that I can offer. I understand the grief, so I lent myself in that way, and understanding the nuances of it, the hopes, and and then we came home, right? And now it's this reframing of who we thought we were going to be, how we thought we were going to come home. Karega mentioned he had to walk. He walked out first for me, and then he came back and he got me. And I remember pulling in. I remember seeing a familiar face and just feeling like they cannot see me. I'm not ready to be seen as this person that I am becoming. And I was afraid. Transparently, I was embarrassed. I had not sorted through all of the emotions that come with grief. And
we only figured out how to do it in the hospital. We hadn't figured out how to face the world.
Yeah.
We hadn't figured out how to walk up our driveway, not visibly pregnant, but not with baby in tow.
Yep.
We haven't figured out how to interact with the world around us that saw us go on walks and all those other things. We haven't figured that part out yet. And to be quite frank, we are still figuring out this part. So we're just grateful that you are here with us as we are making reference for what it looks like to try to figure it out, to make ourselves available for that growth. But we don't know how it goes, right? We are just in it. And we thank you all for being in it with us. We thank you for the many ways you showed your gentleness and your love for us. We thank you for making room in your hearts for our stories and for the stories of so many others. You guys have really just been beautiful in new ways. And it's my deepest desire that all of us know this type of beauty, right? That all of us know this type of grace. But it takes a long time to, sometimes on time still can take a little while. It's the best way I can describe it.
So I'm going to pull another affirmation to center us as we close out.
Okay.
And it reads, I am where I need to be, and I am who I need to be in this very moment. The answers I am looking for are already within. I am where I need to be, and I am who I need to be in this very moment. The answers I am looking for are already within.
It's surely inside of us. The practice becomes finding paths inward. If the answers are already within, how do we get to them? What ancient memory, what wisdom does our body hold to help us get back into that, what is put inside of us, the promise that's already there? So I am who I need to be and where I need to be in this very moment. And when I practice being present and not perfect, it helps me take path inward. I can't say thank you enough, Felicia, for your profound courage and your love and your willingness to share with the world and me right before my eyes. I admire you deeply. I have a deep respect for what your journey has been, different than anybody in the world who watches or hears this story. No one else is Kamaiu's mother. And I have a deep level of respect for where you sit on this experience.
Thank you, babe. I look forward to continuing this journey with you and processing and sharing our process as reference. Thank you for tuning in to Soul Affirmations with Karega and Felicia.
Nah, it's Soul Affirmation with Felicia and Karega.
I guess it's Felicia and Karega today. I feel like I did a lot of sharing.
There you go.
If you like what you heard, if you are interested in learning more about our story, we ask that you rate, review, and subscribe. Show us some love and subscribe. We thank you for just holding space for our story. We look forward to continuing this journey with you all and sharing as reference.
May we all love more abundantly. Peace.